one way to look at economics, an eternal struggle between the forces of supply and demand. If the battles are fought according to the rules, though, both sides wind up as winners, or as well off as they can be, given the economy's resources. Or to put it another way, there are no deadweight losses. You can see the point with any product, video games, for example. Consumers, by showing how much they're willing to pay, signal suppliers like video game makers to produce, up to the quantity at market equilibrium. There, consumers with purchasing power are getting just the number of video games they want, given what the games cost to make. This is what economists mean by efficiency. Economic surplus is one way to show efficiency, that the total of producer and consumer benefits is greater at equilibrium than anywhere else. And the reason economists are skeptical of any price other than equilibrium is that it would shrink the total economic surplus by creating what's known as a deadweight loss, a state of inefficiency because the price signal consumers send isn't the price in the market. It's for this reason that Santa Claus has gotten into trouble with some economists. St. Nick has actually been fingered as a source of market inefficiency in a study that tried to measure the deadweight loss of Christmas. Professor Nancy Folbray explains.
Basically, the idea behind the deadweight loss of Christmas is that people give each other gifts, and they don't always know exactly what people want. And so if you ask somebody who's received a gift, what would you have paid to get this gift? It's usually way less than was actually shelled out by the purchaser, okay? So there's a inefficiency there, and if you were a real Scrooge, you would say, oh, well, Christmas, full of deadweight losses, don't give presents, just give people money, because money is fungible, right? Money, you can buy anything, so money, by definition, it's going to be a much more efficient transfer.
So does economic theory have Father Christmas on the run? Professor Folbray doesn't think so. The idea that inside every Christmas present is a deadweight loss may be consistent with textbook economics, though it would be graphed somewhat differently than the usual picture which we showed you before. But to Folbray, it illustrates the peril of interpreting the supply and demand model too literally.
What's good about Christmas is that it's an exercise in thinking about what the people who you really care about want. It's an exercise in thinking about who they are and what might give them pleasure. And it's in a sense, it helps construct, the interdependent preferences and the knowledge about other people's needs and wants that, sometimes get discounted in a traditional economic analysis. And I guess I would say, speaking as an economist, we know that must be worth a lot because we see in most cultures a willingness to engage in this kind of gift-giving behavior, even though it's inefficient because it causes this deadweight loss. Well, it's because of this intangible, the value of this intangible connection between people on which I think the larger efficiency of the economy really does depend in some pretty profound ways.
In other words, there are hidden gains to gift-giving. Gains like trust, on which, say alternative economists like Nancy Folbray, the underlying structure of the entire market system depends.